One subject that seems to often get overlooked in all of this is boys. I mean, you might have seen some of the comments today at the Labour Party conference where there was a dialogue about middle-aged white men putting their hands up. Could you put them down a little bit and give other people a chance? So I do think if you are a middle-aged white man in today's society, then life sometimes isn't all that rosy for you. And when I start to take it down a little bit and look at where does that begin, I have to say, I'm the mum of a new baby that's a boy. I do start to think about boys and where they currently fit in society. And the reason that I'm bringing all this up is that a report has been published by an all-party parliamentary group on issues affecting men and boys with input from psychologists. I want to just give you a few of the headline stats from this report. I tell you, they concern me. When we look at how boys are actually faring, they are lagging behind girls at pretty much every single stage of education, and they're more likely to be excluded from school. When it comes to suicide, men are more likely, 3 times higher, in fact, than women to die by suicide. Life expectancy, again, men expected to live less than women. Men are more likely to die of a cancer or COVID. Men make up 83% of rough sleepers, and they make up 96% of the prison population. I mean, I've got to say, some of those stats are absolutely alarming. So I have to ask myself, why aren't we focusing more on helping this group? Is it because it's not trendy? Is it because it's not diverse enough? What is going on? Joining me to talk about this report is Martin Seager, who's the past chair of the British Psychological Society Males Psychology section. That's a mouthful. Good evening to you. I have to say, some of those stats that I've just read out there, they do concern me about how men and boys are faring in society. What's your thoughts?
Well, they concern me too, Michelle. I've been a psychologist for over 30 years in the NHS and then another 10 years in the voluntary sector. And as a psychologist, we were taught that gender issues were women's issues and girls' issues. And even today, we only have one psychology course dedicated to studying the experiences of men and boys, and that's a male psychology course in Sunderland. We've only just started to actually look at the lives of men and boys. So men and boys have kind of been invisible, but the narrative has always been that it's a man's world, and I think that's part of the problem, that we've had a narrative which assumes that it's a man's world, so men and boys are doing fine. The gender diversity narrative, the gender inclusivity narrative, has always been about including women and girls as if they're a kind of minority. And men have just been regarded as, well, they're dominating society, they're in charge of everything, they're powerful. So that narrative has pervaded academia, it's pervaded politics, it's pervaded really the media. Everything that we discuss is predicated on the idea that men are somehow in charge or powerful, or if anything bad is done, in some ways, men, there's something toxic. We even have a phrase now called toxic masculinity, which is sort of, I don't think there's any other demographic that you could apply the adjective toxic to and get away with it. So this shows how our attitude, it's not really so much men and boys that are the issue, it's our attitudes to them.